Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to make pot roast because it's quite cold here in Minnesota. So just hang out with us as we make a delicious warm meal on this super cold day. All right, so let's get started. We're going to, of course, start with the Holy Trinity: carrots, celery, and onions. I'm cutting these into medium-sized pieces. They're going to be hanging out in a Dutch oven in a while, so I don't want them to absolutely disintegrate. So each piece is, I don't know, an inch and a half, pretty thick. And for the onion, I'm just going to cut it in half, and then half again, and then into thirds. I also had a little leftover onion in my fridge, so I chopped that up as well and threw that in there. While I've got the cutting board out, I'm going to go ahead and smash four and a half, the last one's really small, heads of garlic to throw in with the vegetables as well. So we'll get this cleaned up and on to the roast. So this is about a 2.5 pound chuck roast that I picked up at the store, just from the pre-packaged section, nothing super fancy, giving it a healthy dose of salt and pepper here. I'm going to make sure every side is coated and not a single surface area goes untouched for seasoning, because this is all she's going to get before going in the pot. Alright, so I've got my Dutch oven. I let it heat up without oil. Added a little bit of oil, gonna let that heat up, and when you put it in the oven, it should sound something like this. Alright, so I'm gonna let this sear. I put this in, I did not touch it, and I did some other chores around my apartment so I wouldn't fuss with it. And I know it's ready to flip because it comes up easily, and we're just going to go ahead and let it sear on the other side for a few minutes as well. Now that both sides have a decent sear on them, I'm going to take our vegetables, starting with the carrots and onions, so they can get some color. But first I'm going to add a little bit of butter for the first time and oil to the pan so they don't stick. So in go the carrots and onions because they take the longest to caramelize. And then after a few minutes I'll add in the celery and garlic. So I've got all my vegetables in there, seasoned those with some salt and pepper, and I have tomato paste here. I just wanted to show that if you have a squeeze top like this, you can just poke the top of the lid of the cap into that hole and it opens it for you, which took me way too long to figure out, so I figured I would pass that along. I'm going to clear a spot in the middle for the tomato paste and let it cook out. Otherwise it sort of tastes a little tinny. But no problems here. We're going to let that cook and it'll get some of the brown fond from the bottom. I'm going to pour about a half cup of red wine in to fully deglaze the bottom of the pot. And you can see all of those brown bits that were there are now getting cleaned up. We're going to go ahead and add in a bay leaf. I'm going to add in some fresh thyme and rosemary. All while letting that wine cook off a little bit. Then I'm going to add about 2 to 3 cups of beef broth here. And then in this delicious little hot pot, I'm gonna nestle our pot roast right into it. It's okay if there's some vegetables underneath, that's not a big deal. I do just like to make sure everything fits. So with that, I'm just gonna add a little more broth so it goes about halfway up that roast, put the lid on, and I'll see you in 3 hours. Alright, so this is fresh out of the oven. It was in there for just about 3 hours at 325, and it is very tender. It's just falling apart here, so I know it's done. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see it. I know it just looks really dark, but it's really beautiful and smells even better. So now, time to plate it up. So while the roast was cooking, I made some mashed potatoes, which I'm scooping out now. Some people put potatoes in with the roast. I don't like how they get mushy, so I don't. I just serve it on mashed potatoes. If you wanted to put potatoes in, you'd do that with all the other vegetables right before you put the roast in. And there's about 1 million best pot roast recipes online that will show you how to do that. This is my pot roast, and it doesn't get potatoes in the pan. Alright, so just gonna shred up this roast to put some on top, and gonna top this then with some fresh thyme leaves and flaky salt. Thank you so much for watching. It feels really good to be back cooking, making videos. Gonna post some recipes on the blog. And if you have any questions, if you want to see me make anything else, just leave it down below. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Happy eating!